heart of Texas. Bally Sports Southwest. The heart of the fan.
After a day off, the Rangers are back at it tonight. The series opener this evening against the San Diego Padres at Globe Life Field. Well, they're rested and they're ready. Rangers team playing some of their better baseball right now against the Padres team we know all too well from last season can be trouble, especially in this building. Welcome in, everybody. Great to be with you tonight. Great way to get your weekend started with a little Rangers baseball. I'm Dave Raymond alongside CJ Nitkowski. Well, the Rangers are playing some of their better baseball right now. It helps to be at home, certainly, but these last 4 games, CJ, have been solid all the way around.
They've been playing some really good baseball, and exactly what Chris Woodward has wanted to see from this team. You know, the first 2 games of the season, not exactly according to plan, but since then, you can see the 3-1 record, the runs per game, everything that's happened with this club has gone well. One of the things that has really stuck out is their ability to hit with runners in scoring position. They have been excellent in that regard so far this season. They are getting contributions up and down the lineup. We know that there are a couple of positions in which the Rangers will do some platooning. That has worked out particularly well. You also have some of these new pitchers that have really been contributing in a big way. You see Ian Kennedy there. 2 saves in a row for him. He is your new Rangers closer.
Yeah, and so he's done a nice job. This Rangers team feeling pretty good about things. And the San Diego Padres mentioned that we won't soon forget their appearance here last season, but there's a different look to this darling of the National League.
It was a very busy offseason. It was a good season last year for the Padres, but A.J. Preller, former Ranger executive and now the general manager with the Padres, wasn't satisfied. And so they got very busy, including bringing back a couple of former Rangers in Kella and Darvish. Of course, Ranger fans familiar with them, but a lot of pitchers. They went into the international market and got Kim as well. And our old buddy Jurickson Profar was signed to a 3-year deal this offseason.
All right, so that sets the stage. Fernando Tatis not with the team right now.
No, he's not. Of course, he got the injury that he is dealing with right now, the shoulder. He is on the 10-day IL. We're not sure exactly how long that will be. You can see the pain that he was in, and it's the kind of injury that really could hang on for a while. So they'll find out in a couple of days whether or not he's going to need surgery. Potentially could be off-season surgery, but a huge loss. No doubt this guy, one of the brightest stars in the game.
Well, Rangers pitching will want to take advantage of that opportunity. Kohei Arihara has the start tonight. These Rangers starters, well, they're on a pretty good run right now. Let's put them in the spotlight with Emily next. Rangers baseball on Bally Sports is brought to you by Frontier Communications.
For some time, Major League Baseball organizations have looked east for top-level starting pitching. Far east. Enter Kohei Arihara, a durable starter from Japan with 7 pitches in his impressive arsenal. This right-hander is capable of keeping hitters off balance with nearly every conceivable pitch. The Rangers believe he has what it takes to be a key piece in their developing rotation. Kohei Arihara can stifle any big league lineup, and it's his turn to take the ball for Texas.
The Rangers and Padres getting set for a 3-game weekend series here at Globe Life Field. A threat of some storms moving our way, but never fear, the roof is closed. One of the luxuries of this brand spanking new ballpark as we welcome you back inside. And the old saying goes, your momentum is only as good as your next starting pitcher. Well, in that case, for the Rangers, they feel like they are in good hands. The last 4 games have been great for these Texas starters with that 3-1 record, the low ERA. Kohei Arihara fared well in his first outing. Unfortunately, didn't get the win in that situation, but another chance at it here tonight. Chris Woodward very pleased with his debut.
Yeah, as well he should be. Arihara ready to go tonight. Opening game against the San Diego Padres. Padres team 4-3 to start the year, and they're a game back of the Dodgers in the National League West. Little interleague style tonight, and there's our first pitch for a strike to Trent Grisham. So underway tonight with the roof closed. Arihara, as Emily mentioned, his second start in the big leagues, his first one a really good introduction. Grisham just activated today off the injured list for the Padres. And he comes up empty, 1-2.
Sorry, Dave.
Well,
Good looking cutter there from Arihara, up and away.
Well, working ahead too. That doesn't hurt. Let's see if you can put away Grisham here. Grisham been on the shelf for a while, since March 11th. And he fouls that one off.
It was interesting with that first start how he had talked about the fact that he was a little nervous and there was some emotion. You would never, ever be able to tell with him.
Yeah.
I mean, just the same all the time. I was actually pretty surprised to hear him say that.
1-2. And he got him swinging, so Grisham strikes out, and we're underway. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the lineup for San Diego. Grisham, the local product, leading it off. And then Jurickson Profar, the former Ranger, at first base, bats second. Manny Machado at third, batting third. Then it's Hosmer, Will Myers, Jake Cronenworth off a fantastic year last year with the Padres. Tommy Pham at left. Ha-Sung Kim, the shortstop, bats eighth. And then Victor Caratini in the ninth spot for San Diego.
And there are the numbers from the first start for Kohei Arihara. 5 innings, 3 runs. Those 3 runs came in that last inning. Just the 1 strikeout, but no walks, and a really good pitch count overall for Kohei.
He runs that one in on Profar for ball 1. Arihara, one of the big offseason acquisitions for the Rangers. This one up the middle, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa positioned well. 2 gone.
Well, that will give us an opportunity to take a look at the steel pitch arsenal for Kohei Arihara. This right-hander throws a lot of pitches. It's a fastball, but it is a 2 and a 4-seam fastball. He has the slider cutter, changeup, got a split finger as well. And as I mentioned, it runs really deep. How deep? So deep that we can't get every single pitch on our screen. You see 5 are there, plus the additional fastball. He does have a curveball also. He threw 3 of those in his first start. So it is as deep of a repertoire as you are going to see in the game. But predominantly 2-seam fastballs and sliders and cutters. Those are the 3 he uses the most.
Goes after Manny Machado. Third place hitter. Machado off to a 240 start. And getting on base pretty regularly as well. A 360 clip for him in that regard. Arihara with the fastball there at 95 miles an hour. It's 1-1. How about those kicks?
And here's the thing, right? If you take the bottoms off, you take those straight to the club after the game. You don't even have to change your shoes. The shoe game has changed pretty dramatically over the last couple of years. There used to be so many rules, and there still are in Major League Baseball with the uniforms and certain things that you can do. I think the shoe rules have been abandoned.
2-1. And Machado in the air out to right field. Gallo is there, though, and it's a 1-2-3 first inning for Kohei Arihara. Come to bat. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. The Rangers 500 right now. 3 wins, 3 losses. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa leading it off at short. Anderson Tejeda just up with a club today. We'll get to more of that in a minute. He's batting second. Then it's Gallo. Lowe, Solak, Guzman in the middle. Trevino catching, White in left, and Leody Taveras in center field rounds it out.
And for the Rangers, they'll be going up against Joe Musgrove, the right-hander with the San Diego Padres. That was the first start that he made against the Arizona Diamondbacks and threw the ball really well. 6 shutout innings with 8 strikeouts and no walks. His first start for the home team, his home team. The San Diego native was thrilled to get traded from the Pittsburgh Pirates to the Padres this offseason.
And he grooves that first fastball for a strike to Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. He was Pittsburgh's opening day starter last year. And he threw the ball pretty well. The numbers were pretty good. I mean, he didn't win many games, but as we know, for pitchers, that's not so much in their control. I think a 1-5 record last year.
It was his last start of the year when he got that win. And it was a career year in the sense of how he threw, the strikeouts jumped, and just was not getting run support at all in a Pittsburgh Pirates uniform.
Tries to get Isaiah to chase that one, but he did not. IKF 0 for 4 Wednesday, but he's hitting .280 for the year. Getting on base at a decent clip as well, and setting the table for what has been a pretty good Rangers lineup. They have done a nice job offensively in their first 2 series. That one breaks off the plate. Slider with a lot of movement. And the Rangers anticipate seeing a lot of those sliders tonight. Musgrove's 2-2. And this one's on the ground. Right to second. Cronenworth is there. And that is out number 1.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the steel pitch arsenal for Joe Musgrove. Dave, you mentioned that slider. It's been a pretty good one. He does throw 4-seam and 2-seam fastball, slider, curveball, changeup, cutter as well. And those are in the order in which he has used them the most. However, there's been some changes. This goes back to the beginning of 2000 compared to who Joe Musgrove used to be. And that 4-seam fastball usage is starting to come down a little bit. The slider usage is going up. The cutter has been really good. Good against lefties as well. He's a different guy. Certainly a different guy from when we saw him in the Houston Astros, back when he was kind of doing that swing roll, making some starts, going back and forth from the bullpen to the rotation. Of course, he was a member of that 2017 World Series team down in Houston.
He gets ahead of Anderson Tejeda, recalled today. And Anderson could not hold up. It's 0-2. Padres will do some aggressive things defensively. We'll show you that in a minute. Tejeda called up today. There you see Manny Machado. That's a long ways from third base for Manny Machado. We saw him make one of the most insane plays of the year last year, right here in this ballpark, out there in right field.
Yeah, pretty incredible long way that Manny Machado had to run. He's way out there. And it is interesting that that's the way they decide to do it. And it could have to do with range as opposed to, say, putting your second baseman out there in Cronenworth. Of course, you leave your shortstop in his position. We see more and more of that throughout the game and in these shifts.
There's a beauty right in there for strike 3 on Tejeda, 2 away.
So you mentioned it, Dave, and it was really something special to see your third baseman make this catch. Joey Gallo put this ball down the right field line, and yeah, that's Manny Machado almost at the right field foul pole, hauling that in and kind of smiling a little bit. Think about how far he then had to go back to get to his standard third base position from that point, because that's exactly what he had to do. That was an incredible catch. I mean, we laughed and had some fun with it because of how far he went, and he made it look easy. That was not easy.
Well, I just remember that hesitation in my mind, thinking, well, that looks like Manny Machado making the catch down there, right? But he's a third baseman. And I just, as the play's unfolding, was having a hard time reconciling that in my brain as the words were coming out of my mouth. It was something. And he had a huge smile on his face, and everybody had a lot of fun with that. And that was one of those plays that stood out for the year in all of Major League Baseball. Everybody was talking about that one. It's count 1-1 now on Gallo. Well, Joey, back to that two-tone bat, and the kind of barrel-weighted bat that he has used in the past. So he continues to change it up as Musgrove pins one on the corner for strike 2.
So the two-tone is the old-style bat, is that correct?
Yeah.
You have this down?
At this point, I'm pretty comfortable with that because the other, you can just see the handle is, the knob of the handle is so much different as well from the balanced bat that he uses. Got away from Caratini. 2-2.
has seen a little bit of everything in this first at-bat against Joe Musgrove. He has seen the curveball, changeup, cutter, and the four-seam fastball.
He's handled Musgrove in the past. 2 for 3 with a walk against him. So I think there might be some level of comfort up there. 2-2. Stay alive.
And what's interesting, too, with the Rangers, obviously they have a lot of left-handed hitters, switch hitters that would bat left-handed against Joe Musgrove. You go back to the beginning of last year, and his numbers are not only better against lefties, but significantly better. Lefties have hit just 184 against him. Right-handers, 261.
Swing and a miss, and Musgrove gets a couple of strikeouts.
Leody Taveras and Joey Gallo in the outfield. In the infield, it's Tejeda, Kiner-Falefa, Solak, and Ronald Guzman behind the plate tonight. Jose Trevino with Kohei Arihara on the mound.
All right, well, they did a nice job in the first inning. And now here in the second, Hosmer, Myers, and Cronenworth, the hitters for the Padres. Arihara, the 8th Japanese-born player in Rangers history. And he jumps ahead here, 0-2 on Hosmer.
That'll be a nice call for him to get today. Two-seam fastball just off the edge. Maybe caught the corner, but that will certainly be helpful with the lefties and the switch hitters in this lineup for Arihara tonight. Whenever you rely on a sinker as much as a guy like Arihara does, and we mentioned, goes a lot of pitches, 7 different pitches, but the two-seamer is the one that he uses the most, especially when you have opposite-handed hitters. Left-handed hitters, that sinker, you're going to use it even more. If you know you're getting an inch or two off the corner, that is huge.
1-2, and it's low. Hosmer able to hold up. Hosmer was the National League Player of the Week, and he's definitely the hottest hitter in a Padres uniform right now. You see the numbers there at the bottom of your screen. A couple of doubles, a .440 on-base percentage, and apparently a very keen eye. That was really close.
And that one didn't have the run. That looked a little bit more like the four-seam fastball from Arihara, trying to keep one straight on the corner.
So a full count pitch now, and he walks Hosmer. The second time Hosmer has walked this year. Let's check in with Emily.
Well, some roster moves announced today. Brock Holt out with that hamstring. He goes to the IL, and up comes Anderson Tejeda, and also to some elbow issues for Matt Bush. So in his stead will be Brett Martin. Both of those guys on the 10-day IL, and neither one expected to be too terribly serious.
Old school. We go old school with DL. I know. Listen, it's ingrained in us. If you've been around this game for a while, it's still hard to get out of your system. Brett Martin was probably coming back anyway. And so it worked out that, not that anybody's happy about the fact that Matt Bush has some inflammation in that elbow right now, but that made the exchange, as far as the roster move goes, pretty easy. And like Emily said, Woody's really not anticipating that being a big deal. But they're going to give themselves just a little bit of time to get that thing checked out. And knowing that Matt Bush hasn't pitched in so long from a year standpoint, right, going through the injury, we hadn't seen him since 2018, right, in a big league game. Was it 18 or 19? 18 was the last time we saw him, right?
Yep.
So it's been a while. They want to be careful with him anyway. So not my favorite phrase, but probably out of an abundance of caution, they decided to put him on the IL.
You're so hit.
Well, that phrase became synonymous with canceling big league games last year. That's why I hate it, but I couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then it just took off. I heard it all the time.
And it's not, listen, it's a great way to go through life. It's probably a smart way to go through life.
Well, not an abundance.
I just don't like it.
Little sporadic caution. Intermittent caution, perhaps. Myers, the batter here, and Myers, he's off to a pretty good start himself with a .318 average. And he takes a close strike. So Arihara is kind of working the periphery of the zone, and maybe it's just exploring at the moment, right? He's feeling around, wants to see perhaps what he can get from plate umpire Vic Carapazza tonight. He gets the low strike there on Myers. And this one lined out to left field, and it will drop in and bang up against the fence. Hosmer to third base. They wave him around to the plate. The throw on the way. Oh, very close. Hosmer gets a hand in, but the Rangers may want to take a look at that one. Very close.
Well, you've seen a lot of close plays over the last couple of games for the Rangers at home, and unfortunately ones that opponents have been able to score on, but just barely. What a throw here, though, from Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. And let's take a look and see if this tag got there. Boy, it sure did look like Jose Trevino may have got the shoulder of Eric Hosmer. Here's another look from the high home camera. And I believe he did get him, and the Rangers are going ahead and challenge this thing.
Yeah, I think I'll say this much. They've got a very good shot. Anyway, it's a good challenge.
It's just a matter of if you can see both at the same time, which will be so important. But look at Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Not only was this a really strong throw and right on the money, but he had a short hop, right? That throw coming from left field, it was just a little bit of a short hop there, and he did an excellent job of not only catching that baseball, but the exchange all happening in one smooth move. That is a great defensive play all the way around for the Rangers.
You can hear the reaction of the fans. You hear looking at the big screen.
Oh, yeah.
And Hosmer saying, well, yeah, it's obvious. I'm safe. Of course. So, there's the old beauty in the eye of the beholder thing.
And the other thing that kind of made this so close as well was the way the ball bounced off the wall in left field. So we have the angled walls here, but we didn't actually get the angled bounce on that ball. It almost came straight back. Eli White was anticipating that ball bouncing off almost on an angle, and instead he had to come back and get it a little bit. And every little second, it's just amazing what we have seen so far through 6+ games of close plays.
Pretty good base running by Hosmer, by the way. I thought he did a really nice job and took the best angle he could into the plate. And this is probably as good a spot as any to mention the fact that San Diego has a new third base coach for the first time in 15 years. Glenn Hoffman's been down at third base for 15 seasons, and he retired from that job, took a spot in the front office, special advisor. And now Bobby Dickerson, their new third base coach. Let's see. Oh my. Not enough to overturn it, apparently. My first unsuccessful challenge so far this year for the Rangers. RBI double for Will Myers. San Diego has the 1-0 lead. And meanwhile, we've got another big base runner out there at second base with nobody out for Jake Cronenworth. Cronenworth, the starting second baseman, and the guy coming off quite a season last year. He was considered to be a kind of an intriguing two-way player. And he takes a strike. And then I think he filled in early in the season for Hosmer, who was hurt at first base. And they liked what he was doing, so they moved him to second base and bumped Profar to the outfield, and Cronenworth became a star. 1-1. And that is to straightaway center field. Taveras is there with a very good arm, and Myers will stay put.
They're going to start going the other way pretty soon, but I got to tell you, I'm still just blown away by how close that play was. I think what happened on the instant replay was the idea that you couldn't see both very well at the same time, right? When the tag was actually being applied and where was his hand at the time. That had to be the tough reader. It was so close that it just wasn't clear and convincing enough to go ahead and turn it over. But I mean, how many times? It seems like 4 or 5 now this year already where we have seen opponents just barely slide in safe at home plate. The Rangers have done a good job, I think, defensively of making those plays close. But at the same time, it is frustrating to be on the losing end of those. So many of them early on here.
Tommy Pham, the batter now, and you can see the work of Trevino back there behind home plate, and how much more is involved in signaling to your pitcher, in this case Arihara, what pitch to throw. Everybody these days with a lot more elaborate schemes, and of course with Arihara, you have so many more pitch offerings to work in there. Have those stolen yet? Figured out?
No chance. Kind of give it up a little bit. It's tough.
It's not like you.
Yeah, it is. I will raise the white flag. Doesn't take much actually at all for me to give up. But the idea of having, again, 7 pitches that he's going to throw, but then the multiple signs that they're doing early on, it should be an indicator of what sign they're using, and then the multiple signs after that because of the runner at second base. It's a lot of work for Jose Trevino.
2-0 to Tommy Pham, and that's a strike. See, when I was a kid, it was kind of a big fascination to have any kind of secret code with anyone, right? Your neighbor buddy, somebody at school. We used to like to get in trouble for leaning back on our chairs, so the teacher would take our chair away, and then we could get under the desk and have signals.
Wait, so your teacher would take your chair away and wouldn't make you stand up?
No, just if you can't sit in your chair right, then we will take it away. And they would take it away, and you get under your desk, and then you give signals to your buddy who's also under his desk, and it's like you're in submarines or whatever.
Yeah. See, because you had the 2-piece desk. I was 1 piece. I had no chance of that happening. The chair and the desk were all attached.
Oh, that stinks.
Room to put your books underneath.
In the air center field, long run for Taveras, and he gets to it. Myers will tag and move to third. Taveras lost the baseball. Apparently never made the catch. The catch has got to be, right?
No, they made the call. He's out.
Okay.
But it was on the exchange that the ball popped out. That is a call that was made on the field.
Pham took off all the way to third, and I don't blame him.
But unfortunately, that is going to allow Will Myers to score. You're going to see the catch here. You see it. He easily has it. Right on that exchange, Joe, the ball pops out of Taveras' glove. And what you should have had was Will Myers on third. And he's going to score easily, so that actually needs to go down likely as an error.
It's got to be, right? It's got to be a fly ball out to center and an E8 to score the run.
Yep.
No sacrifice. Although I was almost immediately thinking, like, that's a pretty cool sac fly if you can get a guy in from second. So, 2-0, an unearned run.
All right, so they just made that a sac fly. How can that be? Do you ever get a sac fly when you send a guy from second to third? Never. Never.
No.
No, it's out.
Should just be a fly ball out.
Yeah.
And an E8. There's a strike to Kim. Ha-Sung Kim from Korea. Signed in the offseason right at the end of the year, I think December 31st. All right, they've changed the scoring decision. No sacrifice.
It's amazing the influence we have.
Yeah. Bouncer, third base. And a real good throw from Tejeda, who shows off that. Well, you're not going to want to miss the Dallas Truck World Hit It Here promotion this summer. All you have to do is watch Rangers baseball here on Bally Sports. If a Ranger hits a home run to the Dallas Truck World Hit It Here sign, win big. Sign up now at DallasTruckWorld.com for your chance to win a truck. Brought to you by Bally Sports Southwest and Dallas Truck World. Maybe this is the guy to do it right here. Nate Lowe leading it off in the second inning. It'll be Lowe, Solak, and Ronald Guzman. All right, Musgrove looked pretty sharp in the first inning. Got a couple of strikeouts. First pitch swinging low, rolls this one out onto the grass in right field. Musgrove covering the bag, makes the play, takes the throw from Machado. It's out there in short right field.
Yeah, that was a little bit awkward that Jerkson Profar did not take over at first base. We know that's not his main position, but at the same time, you don't want your pitcher receiving that throw if you can avoid it. You see this ground ball. Look at Profar as he starts going back. He actually got called off by Joe Musgrove. And maybe that was the easier play because Profar took a couple of steps to his right. And that's just not something you see very often, right? In your scorebook, that's the old 5-1.
Like never. It's going to be really weird for people in the future to go back. You know how like in the last 30 years, so much time and effort has been spent by historians to go back and recreate accurate statistics based on box scores and accounts from games. And the problem is that all the terminology and symbolism and whatnot that we've used all these years now doesn't make a lot of sense, or doesn't help you really understand, let's say, where the ball was actually hit.
The good news is we have video.
Yeah. So from that standpoint, really won't be too much of an issue. Solak looking to become the Rangers' first base runner of the night against Musgrove. Solak hitting .238, and he pulls that one just foul. Nick in that 5th spot on the order today. He and Nate Lowe, it seems like, depending on the handedness of the opposing starting pitcher, kind of rotate duties in the 4th and 5th spots in the lineup. Musgrove, the broad-shouldered right-hander, and he gets Solak to chase. Strike 3, and that's his 3rd strikeout of the ball game.
Good-looking slider there from Joe Musgrove. It gets Nick Solak to chase it pretty far out of the strike zone. And take a look at this for Joe Musgrove pitch comparison brought to you by Steel, and what has kind of changed from 2019 to 2020, which really has carried over here in 2021. I mentioned this earlier, less fastballs, about 10.5% less usage, more curveballs, a few more sliders as well, and that has really changed the game for him. He has seen his strikeouts per 9 jump by nearly 4 per 9. And he had been a guy that had sat kind of in the 8s, and then last year, and it really kind of felt like out of nowhere, he had posted a better than 12 strikeouts per 9, and in his first start kind of kept that same rate.
Slider misses.
Take a look at this. This is among starting pitchers since the beginning of last year. Got to have at least 9 starts in there. That's the 4th best in baseball. That is how much of a jump Joe Musgrove has made with a little bit. He also said some mechanical changes, some different ways that he is training.
Guzman in the air. Short right field, and it's another 1-2-3 from San Diego. Has the early advantage tonight as we check out the T-Mobile coverage cam. Beautiful shot on this Friday night. Inside Globe Life Field, roof closed tonight, and threat of some weather out there today, and kind of weather that brings intermittent, very heavy rains, maybe even hail, and so they shut the lid tonight.
I think we got lucky too. I would say probably about an hour ago it looked like those storms were going to be right on top of Globe Life Field, and it appears that they may have missed us. I was hoping, as we get a look at that great camera view right there, that from the World Series that maybe they would have left a couple of those cameras that they had in the postseason, right? They had that one that basically went all the way across, right? It's pretty amazing to see. What do they call that one in Seattle?
Oh, the fly cam?
Yeah, fly cam. We had kind of 2 of those during the postseason here at Globe Life Field. No such luck. They took them all.
Hey guys, back to the roof being opened. I stopped by Dennis Klein's office, the head groundskeeper here at Globe Life Field, and I jokingly said, what's the forecast look like? He's like, Yeah, I mean, there's storms around, but it doesn't really affect us now, does it? He's just sitting pretty. He's like, isn't it nice to know we're always going to start on time? I'm like, yes, it is.
Start on time. You don't have to wear your mutters to the park that day. Extra ground screw guys that are going to be on tarp patrol. There is no tarp.
I was just looking. There's no tarp. Arihara, a little bit low to Victor Caratini. Caratini, the 9th place hitter for San Diego, 308 average to start the year. And we touched on it briefly as we opened the broadcast. One of many new faces this year. Ground ball, right side. Back on it a little ways. Solak's on to first. Want to stretch it first by Guzman. And they get Caratini. Wow! The Condor can spread those wings.
It was a long run for Nick Solak in an awkward angle that he had to get to field this ball cleanly. And you see how he has to shift his body, his weight to throw. Ended up being offline. But amazing work there from Ronald Guzman. There are not too many first basemen in the game that make this play. Absolutely tremendous.
Had that toe on the bag just long enough. Which is to say, for a split second.
That's right.
One out.
And it's not just the length of his body, right, and the limbs, but it's the flexibility.
Yeah.
It really, you sit there and you watch some other first basemen around the league, and it really does stick out.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, it's flexibility, it's that length, that range. Yeah, but it's timing and footwork, and there's a lot to it.
100%.
He's very smooth, very good over there.
The anticipation is a big part of it, right? Always talk about that with kids. When you're receiving a throw, expect a bad throw.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a little lazy on a routine play, and all of a sudden you took that step too early, and the throw's offline, and now you're step to the right, and the throw's to the left, and you have no range at that point. And for Ronald Guzman, he just never mentally takes a play off over there.
Back to the top of the order now for Grisham. What a superstar he was at Richland High School in North Richland Hills. At the time, he was known as Trent Clark. And this one bounced third base, just foul. Either great last second decision or just a good miss.
Or a lucky miss there from Tejeda. I wasn't sure what the plan was here and whether or not he missed it or he was actually confident that this was going to go foul. Oh, yeah, he pulled the glove back. Now, do you think he has an out? I thought, maybe not an easy out. It would have been a tough play.
No, I think that was a good call.
Yeah.
Watch that internal clock. Yeah, that was my fear, was that they'd get to the ball and then not have a play anyway.
Well, the instinct for a guy who doesn't play a ton of third base either. That's very impressive for Tejeda.
Now, he's got an arm that can make up for a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But even he felt like that might not have been the play to make. Just a little low on Grisham. Grisham, that's the thing. I mean, he's got great speed. He hit for power, average. They're happy to have him back. Injured on March 11th during spring training. And back tonight. Stays 2-2. I mentioned in high school, he went by the last name Clark, Trent Clark. He was drafted in the first round of 2015 by the Brewers. And then a couple years later, 2017, changed his last name to Grisham to honor his mother and show the respect to her, whom he adored so much. She raised him. This one lined into center field. And Grisham has a hit, and he's going for two, and he's in there with a one-out double. There's his first hit of the season.
Part of what made this at-bat so great, and the reason that he even saw another pitch, as you look at this fastball, look like a four-seamer that sat middle, going to the corner. Watch Jose Trevino reach back there a little bit. But the previous pitch was a really, really good changeup right on the corner that Grisham was able to foul off and keep the at-bat alive. And then a slightly missed spot there from Arihara leads to a double.
Time called for, rather by Jurickson Profar. Grounded out in the first inning on a ball that, for years and years would have been a base hit. He hit it up the middle, but the Rangers had shifted on him and took a hit away from him. And he blasts that one into the upper tank.
And that's why you bring your glove.
Stay alert up there.
Because you know when you're a kid, you look, especially now that you can look at the seat map. You always did that anyway. There was always a paper version available. Well, look where we're sitting. Should we bring it? Yeah. Of course we're bringing my glove. Come on, no one's going to hit one up there. Bring the glove. Bring it.
One strike pitch. That's a beauty.
So I got to tell you, I feel like watching Arihara, that's a four-seam fastball. Right, he's going in. That ball stays straight. I don't know what it is about the spin, whether it has to do with, spin rate, spin efficiency, whatever it may be. But they all register as sinkers. Even though he throws a four-seam fastball, the way that these pitches are categorized automatically by the tracking systems that we have, they have every single one of them as a two-seamer.
Interesting.
And I asked Woody about that today. I said, we got no four-seamers last game. And that was a big part of what they were working on with him in spring training. His ability to keep his four-seamer straight and elevate it. I said, did he just get rid of it? Is he not throwing? He's like, no, he's definitely throwing it. But even as I look at that one, I can't say for sure that was definitely a four-seam grip. But it just seems like every single fastball he throws registers as a two-seam fastball / sinker.
Profar stays alive. I think he said it too it's either after one of those spring training games or after his first start that there's a specific pitch like we had wondered about, they talked about in the post-game interview with him, and he was like, it was four-seamer, but I'm trying to get the angle right, but it does continue to run on him a little bit. Checks Grisham, buries that one. It's 1-2. You were talking about him earlier, how Arihara, we talked about in his last start. So calm, seems so collected. He said after his first start in Kansas City that, he had some nerves. A day that he had looked forward to for a long time. But he certainly managed those emotions and nerves really well. And it's something that he's worked on. Like, he's put legitimate effort into being good at that part of the game, right? And he wrote a letter to the fans and everybody back home when he had signed with the Rangers. And it's one of the things he talked about in it's really kind of a long letter, really neat letter that he wrote to baseball fans back home in Japan. And again, stays 2-2. How, in 6 years, Masato Yoshi-san, as he referred to him a lot, was a guy who really worked hard with him on that. Like, don't act like that. Nothing positive can come from, being upset, looking upset, showing people you're upset. And he said there were sometimes he'd get done with an inning and he'd come back in and he'd expect to hear about, like, hey, listen, your two-seamer this, your slider that, or great job, or hang in there. And he said he would come back and Yoshi-san would tell him, you did a great job of staying even-keeled. And that would be his input, right? And that was the thing that they paid attention to more than anything. Ground ball first. Guzman takes it to the bag. 2 away. I thought that was pretty cool, man. I mean, it's legitimately like the one thing that they never let up on. And you can see, you've talked about it every time we've seen him, how composed he is.
It really is amazing that would be the advice that he would get in game, right? When you were pitching, that's probably the last thing you're focusing on. Not that you're not aware of it, but you're focused on results, you're focused on execution, you see what's going on. You know you're very self-critical during the game, and there's a balance in there of how self-critical you are and how much do you praise yourself. But even when you struggle, or even if you do well, and obviously when you do well, most guys can keep their emotions in check. But if you had a bad inning, the last thing you're thinking any of your coaches or anybody's going to say to you is, "Hey, great job with your emotions that inning." But that's pretty cool, and it really does come across in his game, and it will help him a ton here as he takes his game now to a different country, different surroundings. Everything about it is different, but he is realizing a lifelong dream, and to have the mental part taken care of before he came over here is, I can't express how important that is. So I will tell you, I went the opposite direction. I felt like I had my mental act together and got very stressed out when I was pitching over there, just because it was just a different feel. And I was like, just when I thought I had this mental game licked, it all unraveled in Japan.
This one lined to the gap. And Machado will have extra bases. Brings home another run. And the Padres lead 3-0.
Look at the pitch here, trying to go down and away. It's elevated over the middle of the plate, 89 miles an hour there from Arihara. Looked like that might have been the cutter. You can see that sideways spin. Certainly not where you want to throw the cutter. It's got to be well located. It's going to have just that little bit of movement in that velocity range of about 88, 89 for Arihara.
It's a third double today. Padres.
Let's take a look at this real quick. Exit velocity so far this season, Manny Machado and Eric Hosmer. And I just went and looked that up today because Jay Stingler mentioned in his pregame meeting with the media that even though the numbers weren't quite there just yet for Manny Machado, he's like, I think he's probably hitting the ball as hard as anybody in the game. He is. You can see those numbers and how close he is with some of the biggest names in the game. And then, of course, his teammate Eric Hosmer right there with him. That's what's nice about you look for different things that keep you encouraged, maybe when the raw numbers aren't there. But Manny Machado came into this one hitting, 240?
Yeah.
But yet he's hitting it harder than just about anybody in the game, just a couple of other names that are in front of him. And that certainly keeps him in, I think, a positive frame of mind. Obviously, his manager believes in it, notices it. Not that you're worried about Manny Machado over the long term, but it continues. 114 miles an hour he hit that ball. That's smoked.
It's a pretty good poke. Meanwhile, for Arihara, this is going to be his 25th pitch of the inning. So,
and 22 last inning. All of a sudden, that pitch count has gotten up on him pretty quickly.
he walked Hosmer to lead off last inning, and then he would come around to score. And now here he is up with a man in scoring position, but 2 out in the inning, and so Arihara can get his team back in the dugout here with 1 pitch. This is maybe one of the tougher tests in this Padres lineup, though. Smashed foul.
How about the location of that pitch? You can see it middle. They're looking to throw that backdoor slider. And for Arihara, when he gets in trouble, it's because he misses over the plate a little bit. Just 2 swings and misses so far in this game. He only had 4 swings and misses in his last start. We showed you that it was 1 strikeout and he threw the ball well. But he is a contact pitcher that is going to rely on his defense. But he's also going to rely on location. He's got plenty of pitches, plenty of mixed speeds. The stuff is good. It's not going to be overpowering. If he's hitting his spots, he'll be fine. But a couple of times we've seen some baseballs squared up, he's missed location somewhat significantly and usually in the middle of the plate.
Balls, 2 strikes. And Hosmer will make him work a little bit harder.
Take a look at some of these numbers for Eric Hosmer and what he has done against right-handed pitching and the pitches. The 4-seam fastball he's absolutely crushed going back to the beginning of last year. Changeups he's actually been pretty good on as well. So what does that mean for Ari Hara? It doesn't mean you can't throw those pitches. It just means you can't miss. That's the part that becomes really, really important when you know that it's a strength. So when you stay away from it, just know that you have to be pretty careful with it.
2-2. And he can't get Hosmer to chase.
Well, that's a good pitch here. That's a two-seam fastball you saw at 93 miles an hour with some run. Of all the pitches from righties, again, going back to the beginning of last year, that's the one that Eric Hosmer has had some of the most trouble with. I mean, he's got great numbers against righties, but the two-seamer is only hitting 250 against.
Another long at-bat for a Padres hitter. Seventh pitch, and that one down to first base. Guzman flags it, and he gets it to Ari Hara in time to win the inning. And Guzman, big part of the success defensively in the third for the Rangers. This Rangers offense, you get a little something going now. They've had two shots at Joe Musgrove. Musgrove having a conversation with crew chief Jerry Meals during this break. And it was hard to get a clear sense for what that was about. But then plate umpire Vic Carapazza, a little bit late, rushing out of the Rangers dugout. So I don't know. Maybe everybody's just covering for everybody else and having conversations and whatnot. So Carapazza's back. Meals and Musgrove done with their conversation. And Musgrove, he might not want any disruptions to the flow of this game right now. He's struck out 3 of the 6 batters he's faced. 2 perfect innings as he deals with the bottom third of the order now.
You saw that Italian horn that he has around his neck, Joe Musgrove. I believe he said his mother is full Sicilian. Told a really funny story about when he was a kid, right before the draft or sometime around leading up to draft time, he went and got a tattoo. And he got the San Diego S&D, and it said, like, established, whatever, 1991 or whatever it was. And he came home, and I'm assuming it was his Italian grandmother, who was pretty angry with him, slapped him upside the head, essentially, and said, "What are you doing? You didn't get drafted yet. You're not going to get, how do you know you're going to get drafted by the Padres?" And he's like, "No, Grandma." He's like, "It's, just San Diego, like where we're from. You grew up 20 minutes from Petco Park." And he's like, "Oh, just, it's San Diego, because I'm from San Diego." And she was all frustrated with it. He said it was the greatest phone call he got to make when he got traded back to the Padres to then be able to tell her, "Hey, remember when you got mad at me and you slapped me upside the head because I got an SD tattoo? Well, it's all working out now. And I'm coming back home."
Yeah, nobody more excited about that than Joe Musgrove. As you mentioned, his family had season tickets. They used to go see games at Jack Murphy Stadium and then at Petco. There's strike 3 called, and he strikes out Trevino looking. His 4th punch out of the night.
Good-looking slider here from Joe Musgrove, and this has been one of those difference makers. You see it at 83 miles an hour. It's a tight spin, though, even though it's down the middle. You see Jose Trevino's kind of buckling a little bit and having to take that pitch.
Let's check in with Emily.
Well, in talking to Chris Woodward, he likes the patience that these guys are showing at the plate, but he also doesn't want them to lose their aggressiveness. So it's such a fine line between those two things, and he wants them to find that balance from top to bottom, and it's easier said than done, obviously.
Aggressively selective, I don't know, if you want to term it.
Well, I asked him that today.
Yeah.
The Rangers coming into today, had the lowest swing percentage against pitches in the strike zone. And I know it's early, and you got to be a little bit careful with some of this stuff. So that's why I asked him. I said, "Do you make anything of this?" This number tells us that nobody swings less at strikes than the Rangers, but it's been a really good start to the season. And he kind of went in the direction that I anticipated. All strikes are not created equal, right? If everything's on the corner, of course he doesn't want his guys offering at those pitches too early. Now, he said he'd be more interested in the pitches down the middle or the hittable pitches. You almost shrink that strike zone a little bit, take the edges out. Now what is our swing rate? And I said, I don't know. I mean, I only had so many numbers available, and that's not even the way he phrased it, but just the idea of how do we look at it. And it was really helpful for us, right? We run across a number, and to be able to talk to the manager about how he may interpret that. He's been very happy with the approach. It's kind of, Emily said, that patience that has been there. And it does mean they've been taking a few more strikes. Now, that's just a nasty slider. That's part of it. You got a nasty slider like that, you can see these right-handed hitters, there's just a little bit of give in those knees because it's tight and it's late.
He's ahead of White, 1 and 2. And Eli lifts this one, but to not very deep center field. And that is out number 2. Time for a Chevy game break. Let's check in with Sarah Merrifield.
Well, let's take you back to yesterday. Mets with the bases loaded, tied at 2 in the 9th. Former Ranger Anthony Bass throws a pitch in the zone while Michael Conforto appears to stick his elbow into it. Instead of strike 3, the winning run is sent home. It's a walk-off. Mets win 3-2.
I want to thank you, Sarah, because that was the thing afterward. They acknowledged, yeah, we definitely messed that one up.
It's brutal. What a brutal way to end a game. And Ron Kulpa, who was the home plate umpire, as you said, he mentioned afterward, yes, we messed that up. But what really got me was that when you watch that, if you go back and watch that highlight, he calls strike 3. Like he goes through, it's like, he's ringing him up and then points at the elbow and says, oh no, it hit you. Well, if it's a strike, it's a strike, whether it hit you or not. So it wasn't like he was like, oh yeah, that might have been a strike. He called it a strike. That's what I was a little bit confused by, that they could not figure that part out and that they still ultimately reached that conclusion.
Even after all the argument, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it really was kind of amazing. And it would just be maddening to be Don Mattingly and be on the other side of that, where you feel like, I don't even know what I'm arguing here.
Yeah.
You call it a strike.
Yep.
It's a rule. You know it's a rule. And then, I don't know how long it took them to get to Kulpa and Kulpa to actually make the statement like, yeah, we messed that up.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's like 15 minutes in, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You got to be able to come up with that a little quicker.
Now, we know that judgment calls are not allowed in instant replay, so that's not one that you can look back and say, okay, did Michael Conforto try to get hit by that ball? Which he did. He stuck his elbow out. We can see it clear as day, though. That probably should be something that you can challenge and something that can go to replay. I understand why we have those kind of judgment rules in there, but to me, and I like what you said the other day, okay, you got a minute and a half or whatever it is to do it. But as soon as you saw the first replay, like, oh yeah, he stuck his elbow out, and it was a strike because you called it a strike, you could have fixed it like that. Almost defeats the purpose, I think, of having replay.
2-2's popped up foul out of play. Leody Taveras, 9th place hitter, and right now he's seen 8 Rangers go up, 8 Rangers come right back to the dugout. And Leody is a guy who's been in a little bit of a scuffle of his own to start the season. Yet, he delivered the game winner on Wednesday afternoon. It was his broken bat single that scored the second run of the game the Rangers would win 2-1. And he hits his ball sharply, but right to the standard second base position where somebody made the play. I'm not sure who it was. And the inning is done. 3-0.
Stepping in against Kohei Arihara, and he doubled against him in his first at-bat. And wanted to show you some of these numbers against certain pitches for Will Myers against right-handed pitchers. He's done some really good work. Two-seam fastball seems like that's the spot to go because he has crushed changeups, he has crushed sliders. Again, this is going back to the beginning of last year. Some gaudy numbers there for this right-handed hitter. But the two-seamer, and again, we know that Arihara has a good one, is probably the pitch he needs to use. Again, you can't stick to just one pitch. But he really did hammer that changeup in his first at-bat. He hit it 107 miles an hour. Yeah, do that instead right there. That's a nice fastball off the plate, strike one. Nice little slider, strike two.
Notice he always takes that split finger grip to go into the glove, and then I guess adjusts from there. This ball in a center field, and Myers is aboard to start the 4th inning. Let's check in with Emily.
Yeah.
Jones, Emily Jones.
And action.
How's it going, guys?
Hello.
Hello. I thought it was interesting, and it seems like in every session that we had with Kohei, the thing he wanted to stress the most as far as the adjustment to Major League Baseball was getting to know his teammates. He wanted to know them. He wanted to get comfortable in that clubhouse setting. I asked him, is your family here with you? He said he doesn't have any kids, but his wife is here, and she's a big part of getting him acclimated to a whole new living situation as far as being here in the States, and said he relies on her heavily for comfort food to provide that to him. But I thought it was interesting that he talked so much about the stuff outside of baseball.
Cronenworth gets to him for a base hit to start the inning. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, though. I mean, it's a big move. There's a lot going on. And, CJ, you've done it in the reverse. I'm sure there's a lot to that adjustment.
There is. I mean, I think anytime you go to a foreign country, whether you're playing baseball or not, you go there anticipating and understanding it's not going to be like home, and you have to be open to the different experiences. Now, when you go there for work and knowing that there's a lot that is dependent on your success, especially when you're doing it in sports, there's a lot of stress that can come along with it as well. So any comfort from home that you can have, whether it's your family members or one of the big ones, as ridiculous as this may sound for me, in Japan was the fact that there was Costco there. And you could go get a slice of Costco pizza in Japan, and it tasted just like Costco pizza here in the States. Little things that kind of reminded you of home, that made you feel a little bit comfortable. But family first, of course, having your family there is a big one. To deal with the stress of no matter where you're playing the game, and to be able to help alleviate some of that stress. So it's really nice, of course, that he can have his wife here. And no doubt, great teammates that he has in the Ranger clubhouse that are there to help in any way that they possibly can.
Well, and it's not like there's not some fundamental changes baseball-wise that he's having to adjust to,
Oh, yeah, the mound, the ball, the 5-day rotation here. He talked about the fact that he probably would be fatigued toward the end of the year just because it's such a different schedule.
Yeah, and he said he was at spring training, remember? That it did take a lot out of him, but he felt like that his body adjusted, toward the end.
Because in Japan, we never went more than 3 days without an off day. 3 straight days of work, there'd be an off day. In the States, we had 2 off days, I believe the team did this year, and it's usually 1 in spring training.
I feel like Japan's onto something here.
More off days.
3 days on, 1 day off, I'm in.
Between that and the onsens, the natural springs, the hot spring spas. Yeah.
Sushi, I'm in.
Yeah, you'd be a mess over there with sushi. My goodness.
I would be.
You would never answer us when we asked you to chime in.
Sushi at a nacho bar for Emily, and we'd never see her again. Bouncer left side could be 2. Solak on the first. Oh, not in time. Guzman may think differently. We'll take another look at it.
Yeah, it was close. Tommy Pham did a nice job getting down the line. The throw was offline, which unfortunately probably cost the Rangers this double play. Another excellent job there from Ronald Guzman, but Tommy Pham does appear to be safe, which is unfortunate for Arihara because he does bear down to get that ground ball and tries to get those 2 outs with 1 pitch, but unfortunately did not happen.
All right, so they saw the shot at getting another one here with Kim stepping in. Ha-Seong Kim, who has taken over at shortstop with Fernando Tatis on the injured list. 3rd straight game he's had to start at 3rd for the Padres.
So interesting to see this lineup right now. We had talked about it in the open and what the Padres did, and the long list of players that they acquired, whether it was via trade, free agency. They bring in Kim, who was a pretty prolific home run hitter and shortstop in Korea. When they have Fernando Tatis Jr., and you're thinking, well, where's he going to play? And then they give Jurickson Profar a 3-year deal.
Bouncer 3rd base. The second one. Here comes the first. And this time they got it. The double play, a good one, and the inning is over.
Well, back-to-back at-bats here for Arihara, where he gets the big ground ball that he needs to hate
the Rangers. So we'll see if another look at Joe Musgrove gives him any advantage or helps out just a little bit here. Kiner Falefa will lead things off. grounded out to second his first time in.
And I would put Joe Musgrove in that same category, what we were talking about going to the break, which was the Padres going out and getting players and saying, well, where do they even fit in, right? Profar and Kim didn't look like they had starting spots on this club. They're both in the lineup right now because of injuries. Joe Musgrove, you mentioned it, he was the opening day starter in Pittsburgh. They acquire him this offseason after they got Blake Snell and Yu Darvish to go along with the Nelson Lamet, who they've already had. To take somebody else's opening day starter, understand it's because they're a little thin in Pittsburgh, and then be able to slide him in the fourth spot in your rotation. And they have good young pitching as well to the San Diego Padres. I mean, it is an embarrassment of riches. They were ultra aggressive, as we saw all season long.
The air down the right side, foul. Little scramble. Youngster gave up early.
Well, I would tell you, I would go in there a little hesitant as well because that ball was bouncing around like it was pinball. You gotta wait to see where that thing was going to land first. But after that, I think he got a little bad luck as far as where it finished.
2-1, and that is high. So I say it with some confidence. This has to be the most advantageous count the Rangers have had in today's game. It's the first 3-ball count they've had. Musgrove has been really in command so far. And this ball on the ground, shortstop. Kim is up quickly, is so to first in time. Away. Well, you know, becoming a Rangers insider is the best way for all fans to get ready for this 2021 season. You can sign up for free today. You get exclusive offers, pre-sale notifications, plus Rangers news and highlights sent directly to you. Go to TexasRangers.com/insider to sign up now. All right, 10 up, 10 down for Musgrove, and now Anderson Tejeda struck out looking his first time up, and he watches ball one. It's only the fourth time today that Musgrove has started an at-bat with ball one. Certainly, he looks pretty good tonight. He proves that one for strike one.
A little cutter there at 90 miles an hour, a little flat one, but thinking that knowing, especially a guy like Tejeda is going to take a big swing, and he usually does, I feel a little bit more confident having a fastball like a cutter with some movement on it as opposed to just a straight fastball when you're behind in the count.
Another strike. Musgrove, you mentioned it at the top, too. He had a real nice start in his opener against the Diamondbacks. 6 shutout innings, no walks, 8 strikeouts in that one. Go back to the end of last year, and he's got a scoreless inning streak going right now of what, like 25, 26 innings? He's in a groove over a span of 7 months now.
Not easy to do, and something that A.J. Preller had said when they acquired him this offseason, that they were kind of hoping they could tap into some of what they saw at the end of the year last year, and that is exactly what they're getting. His first start was fantastic. He looks really sharp here tonight. Seems like they got Joe Musgrove just at the right time.
Well, they did, and he gets another strikeout. That's his 5th of the night.
But I will tell you this, I'm not sure how many times that we will see an at-bat for Anderson Tejeda where he takes 3 strikes. He had the 1 foul ball in there, but he took 3 strikes in that at-bat, and we know he's very aggressive when it comes to swinging. But, again, that goes to tell you how tight that breaking ball is tonight. We've seen a handful of Rangers taking it for strikes.
Two outs, nobody on, and Gallo, the hitter here. Uh-oh. There we go. First Rangers base runner of the night. You never know what it is that might turn things the other way. Certainly a base runner is a good place to start, and Musgrove is just handed one to the Rangers.
Well, he had appeared to be locked in, and he goes to a breaking ball here to Joey Gallo and just yanks it No doubt he wants an early strike, but instead misses pretty badly and catches Joey in the knee.
So Joey says hello to Profar. Teammates catching up briefly. And Nate Lowe, a chance to do some damage here. Take strike one.
It's pretty well located for a backdoor slider with some tight break. Down and away. I bet you Nate Lowe saw that, I don't know, 85, 90% of the way that pitch was out of the strike zone.
Foul tip. 0-2. Low. Caratini picking it off the bare hand.
I think the foul tip got him in the hand. The reaction tells you that's probably what it was.
That can't be fun. Plate umpire, but Carapazza does the right thing here. Buys a little time for Caratini. There's a cursory inspection of the baseball. Jace Tingler, manager of the Padres, second-year manager for San Diego.
Another cutter here. And
Just a glancing glove. Glove, knee,
Yeah.
and thumb.
so your empathy just went really far down.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, now I'm kind of annoyed. Let's go. Just kidding. Gallo draws a throw.
I don't know what these. So you get a great view from center, of course. You and I talk about the straight-on angle that we love and the uniqueness of the suites that you have here. But if you notice, there's some monitors down there.
Yeah.
So those people sitting in the suites can see themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And it's only the fourth inning. But the guy on the right was just going Hulk Hogan biceps. Notice somebody else back there was kind of looking up, the monitor looking, and it seemed pretty pleased with what they were seeing. I figured that'd be more like 6th, 7th inning. Getting started a little bit early.
Yeah. Let's behave yourselves back there. 2-strike pitch to Lowe. And he lays off a good one. Started way off the plate, but came back pretty close. Musgrove wearing number 44 as a Padre. Like his idol. Growing up, he loved Jake Peavy, Cy Young Award winner in 2007. Off the plate. 2-2.
It's a good take there from Nate Lowe. A couple of strikes with a changeup that just misses. He knows that right now tonight, the way that Joe Musgrove is throwing, everything is going to be around the plate. He puts you in swing mode.
Musgrove readies again, wide open left side of the infield. This one pulled to the right side, but foul.
So throwing strikes is one thing, but what really works well if you're a pitcher is if you can get opposing hitters to expand the zone and chase some of those pitches outside of the strike zone. Look at your bottom right there. 46% chase rate so far this year. That is third among starting pitchers in the game. But when a guy shows you that he can throw his off-speed pitches and good ones in the zone like Joe Musgrove has tonight, you have to protect, right? You got to get into that swing mode a little bit to have a chance when you get a guy that's locked in as much as he is.
It's a 3-0 game, but Gallo is out there for Nate Lowe. 2-2. And that ball's hit hard out to right field, but right to Will Myers.
And the ace of this Rangers starting staff had, let's call it a significantly better game than he did on opening day. Lasted just a third of an inning on opening day, but he was locked in here at Globe Life. Life Field in a big start against the Toronto Blue Jays, who have a great lineup, very deep lineup, but Kyle Gibson in command the entire time. Strong outing for him. That first win of the season, and now I'm just kind of relaxed a little bit, but check out the number 6 innings, no runs allowed. He had 8 strikeouts and just 1 walk compared to that April 1st start on opening day in Kansas City.
Well, different Kyle. Kyle Cody is a new pitcher for the Rangers, and his first offering fouled away by Caratini.
So 2 games so far this season for Kyle Cody, the right-hander with the power arm. 3 1/3 innings, a couple of strikeouts, a couple of walks so far this year. I think part of this for Arihara was a lot of contact. He was working pretty hard. You also got the 9-hole hitter. You're about to flip the order over for a 3rd time. I think instead of waiting, Chris Woodward decided to go ahead and give Kyle Cody the clean inning to start. And the guy that, as we talk about him and have already this year, likely to be in the rotation if he's able to stay healthy and everything goes well before the season is over.
2-strike pitch, and it's a little tight. Caratini, as you mentioned, the 9th place hitter, but he's off to a good start at the plate, a 3.08 average. Getting on at a pretty steady clip. He did ground out his first time up, and he strikes out swinging here, 1 away.
Very nice looking slider here from Kyle Cody. This is his best pitch, the pitch that he uses the most, and very well located below the zone, 86 miles an hour. So Kyle Cody, so far since the beginning of last season, hold opposing hitters to a 138 batting average on that slider. And 11 of his 21 career strikeouts have also come on that slider.
He works to the top of the order now, Trent Grisham. And he pumps in strike 1. Grisham is 1 for 2. He doubled, scored a run in the 3rd inning. Also struck out in the 1st. First game back tonight for Grisham, and he takes strike 2.
It's a beauty right there, 97 on the corner. I think the one thing with Kyle that we've seen was a little bit surprised so far this year is the command hasn't quite been as spot on so far in this outing, though. He looks pretty sharp.
Cody last year called up about a month into our bizarre abbreviated 2020. And then, I mean, he finished really strong. He was the pitcher of the month in September. He went 1-1 in September and had an ERA of 1.96 in 5 starts. I mean, he was outstanding. Big, tall right-hander. And he just misses. John King getting ready out of the Rangers pen. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
With Cody thinking that it would be maybe a multi-inning outing since he's coming in the 5th inning. Maybe not.
Just missed. Cody, what, he pitched Monday against Toronto, went 2 1/3 in that one. Which, to your point, it's kind of in line with what you're thinking, like a multiple inning outing. Ground ball, right side, ranging to his left for it. Solak makes the play. 2 up, 2 down. And so it's to the bullpen at this point. Let's check in with Emily.
Well, and the bullpen had already taken those 2 big blows in spring training when Jonathan Hernandez and Jose Leclerc were deemed out, and then you get the Matt Bush news today. So the back end has been in question. Ian Kennedy obviously stepping into that closer role, but you do wonder about these setup situations, 7th and 8th inning, what Chris Woodward is going to do. He said he hates to throw Brett Martin immediately into the fire, but if he feels like that's a good matchup, he'll do that. You get guys like Scores and even DeGust could be possibilities as well.
Soft liner out into right field for Profar. 2-out single. That's funny, he even mentioned Kyle Cody as being a potential setup man of the 8th inning.
He certainly has the stuff. about the two big right-handed arms that are still not in that Ranger bullpen. We know Jose Leclerc's not going to be back this year. Well, Brett Martin finally is. And then Yoeli Rodriguez. I mean, you're talking about four of their biggest arms not on the opening day roster in the bullpen. I don't know how many teams could actually survive that and have a competitive bullpen to start the season. But I also like what he says, too, as far as the idea of big roles and big spots. So, listen, we got to throw everybody out there. Nobody's here to be, hidden or kept safe away from the big role and the big moments. There's just no room for that in a Major League bullpen. And especially right now with so many important arms that are down.
Base hit by Profar gets Machado to the plate. He's already doubled in a run tonight, and he takes strike one. Manny Machado coming off a great year last year. A bit of a bounce back for him with the Padres. In fact, he finished third in the MVP voting, I believe, in the National League. Give you an idea of just how good a year it was. Played a lot better, again, defensively, back to the old form that he showed in Baltimore. But he hit better than 300. Had 16 homers and 47 RBIs. He's only 28 years old. And he went around. That's strike two.
As much as there was focus on Fernando Tatis Jr. last year, Manny Machado kind of quietly easily had the best year. You mentioned it. He finished third in the MVP, won a Silver Slugger. Even Will Myers actually had a higher OPS than Fernando Tatis Jr. did last year. That's how deep this lineup ran. And they still do.
The 1-2 from Cody. And a bouncing ball foul. Kyle, maybe just a one-inning appearance tonight. We'll see.
Now, part of that could be right after you get through Machado. It's Hosmer, Myers, Cronenworth. You got a couple of lefties in there. We showed you those numbers for Myers and how good he has been against right-handed pitching. So maybe you like a lefty even going against the righty. That could be it.
Boom, strike three called. Puts it right on the outside corner. Machado goes down looking. And the inning is done. We're halfway there tonight. Rangers offense. Cool shot from outside Globe Life Field tonight. 3-0. San Diego with the lead as we go to the bottom of the fifth. You see the Rangers so far without a hit against Joe Musgrove, the native of El Cajon, California. And you know what El Cajon means, don't you?
The Cajon.
The Cajon.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
So I did see, I mentioned it earlier, only about 20 minutes from Petco. But also heard him talking about how his father was or still is a police officer in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And somehow their family got to know Kevin Mitchell when he was a kid. Or his dad did, at least, to some degree. So that was a little bit of his introduction to really falling in love, I think, with the Padres.
Solak lifts this one into short right. And Cronenworth covers the ground to go out there and get it on the right. All right, it is the bottom of the fifth. How about a word from Jack Daniels? San Diego, and here's the Condor. Guzman flying out to right field in the second. Musgrove, I mean, really hasn't been threatened much tonight. The line out of Nate Lowe last inning, that ball was well hit, almost 109 miles per hour. Leote had a hard ground ball to shortstop. Kind of reaching here looking for something. It's like slider again. So 1 ball, 1 strike on Guzman.
Yeah, Nate Lowe 109, Isaiah 103, Isaiah an even 100. Everything else has been under triple digits as far as contact against Joe Musgrove tonight.
Bunt. It's time to bunt.
The right shift for it.
Yeah, that's true. 1-1. Guzman in the hole 1 and 2. Emily?
Well, Guzzi's talked about, what that Dominican Winter League performance did for him, obviously earning the MVP, and just the timing of it coming off a not good 2020 and really wanting to redeem himself did wonders for his confidence. And, he's back in, has been in the lineup quite a bit at first base when, it was expected that Nate Lowe might get more time there. And Woody's like, look, he's too good defensively. If he can hit, we need him out there in the field for sure. And we've seen that tonight, obviously.
Yeah. One of the absolute best in the game defensively is Ronald Guzman. It was nice to hear those stories about how winter ball went, winning that MVP, hitting 360. You see all the numbers there across the board. That's a big deal. There are some really good players that play in that league, especially toward the end. A lot of the big leaguers will come back, both pitchers and hitters.
Musgrove, that's another strikeout to the ledger tonight. That's 6.
And not only another strikeout, but another slider that a Ranger hitter ends up looking at. And you mentioned the strikeouts, 4 of them have been looking. That's how tight that pitch is right now. Up and down the lineup, the Rangers are just having a difficult time with the Joe Musgrove slider.
Just a little jinx that you put on them this afternoon with that observation of how many strikes they've laid off this year. Couldn't believe you did that.
It was more about me being curious and inquisitive.
Routine ground ball shortstop, and Kim takes care of Trevino. It's
How'd the Yankees do tonight?
I think they lost to Tampa Bay. John King is on the pitch here, so a good scoreless inning from Kyle Cody.
Take a look at the numbers so far. 2 games pitched this year for John King. No walks and a strikeout in there so far. We don't really look at the batting average just yet. You have some time. He's got a good arm. 2-seam fastball. He uses it quite a bit. It's been a good one for him, averaging around 93 miles an hour.
Hosmer leading things off here, and he takes strike 1. Hosmer walked. He's grounded out, but he's scored a run tonight. In fact, the first run of the ball game on a great slide at home plate. On a play that got reviewed, and boy, it really looked like it could have gone either way. He stayed with the call on the field of safe, and that's a big play right now. A 3-0 ball game. Certainly cost Arihara more pitches in that second inning, and there's a very quick strikeout of Hosmer in the 6th.
Nice job by King. Eric Hosmer seemed a little bit, I want to say perturbed, but thrown off by the pace that John King was going after him, and he asked for a timeout as John was getting ready to throw the previous pitch, and it did not make a difference. And not only is that a really impressive at-bat for John King, Eric Hosmer came into this game batting .500 against lefties in the 25 plate appearances that he's had against them so far this year.
King pumping strikes right now. Jumps ahead of Myers 0-1. Myers 2 for 2 tonight. He's in a whole 0-2. So John King has an idea tonight.
And John King was like a mystery to us, right? We just didn't really see him this spring training because of the limited access that we had and not nearly as many games that were on television. It was just like, yep, he's on the team. We didn't know how he was throwing, what was going on, and he's been really good so far. As you mentioned, he's doing a nice job of filling up the strike zone. He's been kind of like a silent assassin so far in this bullpen. One that has 5 lefties in it right now.
There was a question at some point in spring training, well, who's going to be the lefty in the bullpen? Now all of a sudden it's like, oh, we got too many lefties. 2-2 the count. Well, he's pitching with some purpose tonight. Here it comes. And got him swinging. Myers strikes out. Back-to-back Ks for King in the 6th inning.
Throwing strikes, keeping a good pace, keeping this very good lineup so far on their heels. Good-looking fastball there with some carry on it right by Will Myers.
All right. Jake Cronenworth steps in. He's 1 for 2. Left on left and a comebacker. King has it. Little underhand flip to first. A 1-2-3 inning on 9 pitches.
So the Rangers still trailing the Padres by a score of 3-0 as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Check out that note on the bottom right. We sit there and watch an outing like this, and Joe Musgrove's throwing the ball really well. You think, well, you got to get him out of the game. Find a way to get some runners on base, get that first hit. Well, why? You want to get into the bullpen? It's a 0.91 ERA that bullpen has posted so far this season. That's the best in baseball.
Kicking, swinging, and doing all sorts of stuff out there. A cycling class a little later. Eli White getting it off here, and that slider misses upstairs. Well, coming into the game, only the Yankees had a better team ERA than the Padres. Padres' full team ERA was 1.97. Very good. Now, they'd also committed the most errors in Major League Baseball, 8 errors, and that helps eliminate earned runs sometimes, but they've thrown the ball well. Musgrove with a low pitch count so far is 1-1 pitch. Strike 2 on Eli White.
66% strikes coming into this inning for Joe Musgrove. It feels like he's got more, and I guess it's probably because of the strikes looking. Only 6 swings and misses. It's 17 strikes looking so far.
1-2. White takes a hack at it. That seems like an unusually high number.
Well, I would have thought so too, but Arihara had 14 strikes looking out. He only had 2 swings and misses, and they came in the first inning. That's probably part of the reason, I think, also maybe Woody decided to take him out when he did.
A great crowd here tonight at Globe Life Field. 1-2, and that's off the plate. Rangers have had just 1 base runner tonight. Joey Gallo was hit by a pitch in the 4th inning. Didn't advance beyond first base. But that's it. No hits yet tonight off Musgrove. This one sharply hit foul. Great hustle.
Woody's doing so well with these breaking balls too, and that looked like it was more of a curveball that hung up in the zone a little bit, but we've seen the cutter that'll average somewhere around 89 or 90. It's real tight, it's small. You see a pretty good slider with some tilt on it, and then you see him even make that slider bigger where he wants to get it out of the strike zone, and then he's got the curveball as well. I mean, all these pitches breaking away from right-handed hitters at so many different speeds and so many different breaks.
White works the count full. This may well be the best at bat that a Rangers hitter has put on Musgrove tonight. White's about to see the 8th pitch with this at bat. All right, the payoff on the way, and a swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Musgrove, 1 away.
This was the longest at-bat for any Rangers so far this evening. There's a good example of him making that slider just a little bit bigger, sweeping it out of the strike zone, and Eli White not being able to lay off of it.
One away, and it brings up Leody Taveras. Leody grounded out in the 3rd inning. He puts this one in the air, short center field. Grisham, though, able to get to it easily, and there are 2 gone. Well, Rangers fans, don't just watch the games. Why, you can own a piece of the game. Game-worn jerseys and gear, even the bases from the field can be yours. You shop at our Rangers Authentics on online store. New items are always being added. Just go to TexasRangers.com/authentics to check it all out. 2 away. Top of the order now. Here is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa coming up. Goes after the first pitch. Down the right field line. Slicing away foul and just beyond the reach of Profar. That's a good effort by Jurickson Profar to get down the line that far. Long strike.
I mentioned Profar, first base, not his first position. Ranger fans remember him in the middle infield. Saw him go in the outfield a little bit. That's kind of his role here with the Padres. Not an easy play.
Profar started the year last year at second base, was bumped to the outfield, but yeah, kind of a utility guy. Kiner-Falefa. Musgrove 1 strike away from 6 no-hit innings. Right-hander working with Caratini. They seem to be in sync all night. That slider works away. Hasn't been very complicated. He hasn't had to deal with much of the way of base runners. And that one looks good. Strike 3 called. So Musgrove, 6 no-hit innings tonight at Globe Life Field.
Baylor Scott and White Health game diagnosis. And we're going to take you back to the second inning. A big play, the first scoring play of the game. This double hit down the left field line. Eli White makes a throw here to Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who makes a really strong throw home. You know, it appeared when we saw it that perhaps Eric Hosmer was out. He was not. He went to review. You saw there that he was called safe. That call held up. That was the first run of the game. And of course, they scored one more after that. Now 3 total.
Bouncer up the middle. Solak right there to take care of Tommy Pham, and we're underway in the 7th inning.
But that is not the only thing that has happened here tonight. Of course, you mentioned Joe Musgrove. He's got a no-hitter right now through 6 innings. He has not walked a batter. The only Ranger to reach was Joey Gallo. He was hit with a pitch. Well, Myers having a nice night, 2 for 3. We showed you the RBI double. And so far, the Rangers' bullpen has thrown 2 1/3 shutout innings.
John King has been great so far. 4 up, 4 down for the Rangers lefty, who last year spent most of the season at the alternate training site. He was brought up in early September. He gets a swing and a miss. It's 0-2. And then he went 1-0 in 6 relief outings. We're talking about a guy who had never pitched above high A in the minor leagues. It was that kind of year last year when we saw stories like King's seemingly come out of nowhere. And, you know, he proved himself.
I wonder if...
Strike 3 call, he gets Kim.
That's great location on the inside corner. Kim almost seems like he's in disbelief that was a strike. But based on what we have seen called here tonight, that is a strike. And we've seen a couple of pitches that maybe even got a little bit wider. I mean, yeah, that's borderline. See the twist. Didn't work. But how many players, I bet you between last year and now this year, and take some work that I'm not willing to do, that we could say there have been more players in these last 2 years that have reached the big leagues without playing above A ball than in the last decade or more.
Maybe in the last decade combined, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's tons of them. It's pretty much unheard of to do something like that, quite honestly. It was rare, really special talent. But because there were no minor leagues last year, still technically no minor leagues just yet, we'll start in May. A lot of players have made that jump. That's a big one.
King with 3 strikeouts so far. 1-1 to Caratini, and that one into center field. Base hit. Ninth place hitter has his first hit of the night. Padres have a base runner. And how about a word now from Choctaw Casinos and Resorts?
Want to make your own big plays? We'll see you at Choctaw Casinos and Resorts, exclusively for everyone.
Okay, top of the order now with a base runner out there. Grisham, the batter, he's 1 for 3. And he bunts it first base side, right past King, and that's a no man's land. Everybody's safe. Great bunt by Trent Grisham. Padres trying to build a little something here with 2 out.
That's a great bunt no matter what the situation is, but it's a really great bunt when you have the shift on and your second baseman is so deep. All you have to do is get that ball past the pitcher, and once it was, look how deep Nick Solak is over there at second base. Once it's past John King, you see Grisham even pull up a little bit. I got to tell you, even if Nick Solak was playing his standard position, I don't know if it would have made much of a difference.
So a couple of men out there now for Profar, trying to check his swing, and I think he may have gotten a piece of that one. You see that? The Padres 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position so far tonight. They haven't really delivered many big hits. Myers delivered a big hit in the second inning, but at the time, Hosmer wasn't in scoring position. He was at first base.
And almost out. And then think about how they scored that second run right on the fly ball to center field that Leody Taveras caught in front of the Ranger bullpen, but then the ball came flying out of his glove on the exchange. And you had Will Myers tag up from second and score. And then the 2 doubles in the third inning, Grisham and Machado led to the other run. It really could be 1-0 right now.
It could. I mean, it legitimately could. It's a Padres team, and in their series against the Giants, they were just 4 for 17 in the series with runners in scoring position. Musgrove has the no-hitter going, but they've left the door open. The Rangers still in this thing. It's the swinging a foul tip by Profar takes the count to 0-2. Musgrove not getting a whole lot of counsel on his team's bench right now with the no-hitter through 6 innings.
Well, I mean, nobody wants to be that guy. You don't say a word. Coaches are okay. Larry Rothschild, his pitching coach, actually did talk to him when he came off the mound and walked into the dugout last inning. And that's it.
Swing and a miss. Profar chases strike 3. John King with 4 strikeouts in his 2 innings of relief. All right, time for a little 7th inning stretch. And God bless America. Let's turn it over to Chuck Morgan.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Will you please rise and direct your attention to the center field area?
Rangers looking for their first hit tonight off this man, Joe Musgrove. He has been very good tonight. 8 strikeouts through 6 innings. It's his 3rd time through the order as he gets Tejeda, Gallo, and Lowe here in the 7th. Rangers have had 1 base runner, a hit batter, Gallo, in the 4th inning. Tejeda recalled today's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, and he waves at strike 1.
So this came up today with Chris Woodward and how aggressive that Anderson Tejeda can be. We've seen him take some strikes. You see him swing at a first pitch that's pretty far out of the zone. And he said he understands that's part of his game in the sense that he's really aggressive. But he said at some point he's got to understand when he needs to be taking those team at-bats. He says doesn't want to take too much of that aggressiveness away from him. But at the same time, he does need to understand when it's time to, whether it's shorten up, put the ball in play. He said he's going to hold him accountable to making sure that he is taking team at-bats and not just getting aggressive and trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark all the time.
That's this one on the ground. Foul for strike 2. 1-2 the count on Tejeda.
Such a fine line when you get really aggressive players because you want to cut their legs out from under them and what makes them great, but learning that discipline and not chasing 0-0 pitches like that out of the zone, especially when a pitcher's locked in. It takes time, it takes experience.
Stays alive. Well, announced a crowd tonight, 27,575.
So I only missed it by 575?
Right on it. Big group with us here on a Friday night. Series opener against the San Diego Padres, a team that returned to the postseason last year after a 13-year drought. Swing and a miss to Tejeda, his strikeout victim number 9.
Third time tonight that we have seen Anderson Tejeda go down on strikes. The first when we went down looking was another slider below the zone, actually curveball there below the zone. And a lot of what we saw Anderson Tejeda swing at in that at-bat were pitches outside of the strike zone.
One down, and Joey Gallo at the plate. Gallo, the only one with really any significant looks at Musgrove in his career prior to tonight. I mentioned it's a third time through for Musgrove. He's allowed a batting average of .295 in his career once he sees a team for a third time on any given night. Gallo hits it sharply down to first. Profar is there, and there are 2 out.
Well, I wonder here for Jace Tingler, the manager of the San Diego Padres. Of course, he's rooting for his guy, but it's only his second start of the year. He threw 6 shutout innings in his first start this year against the Arizona Diamondbacks, 78 pitches. He only allowed 3 hits in that game. 8 strikeouts, no walks. And so here he is now at 84 pitches, talking to his pitching coach, Larry Rothschild, knowing that he has the great bullpen. So part of it that's like, hey, how about a single and the guy gets thrown out trying to stretch it into a double would be maybe ideal for Jace Tingler right now. No manager likes to be put in that spot where his player has an opportunity to do something special, but from a pitch count standpoint, not that he's in the danger zone, but you just don't really want to push a guy second start of the season, especially after the shortened season we're coming off of.
Musgrove's going to be a tough guy to convince, though. I mean, look, you're the manager, you make the decision.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's going to sit well with Joe Musgrove. But, listen, it is what it is. It's a different time, and these things are handled a little differently. So, 2 out here, and Nate Lowe, the hope for the Rangers in this 7th inning is they are really starting to run short on time. Pardon me, the strike.
Well, I can tell you what history is not going to happen tonight. We had all wondered, me, you, and Emily, would we see a 3rd consecutive game that lasted 2 hours and 33 minutes? We had back-to-back games of exactly 2:33.
Tough to do.
Not going to happen now.
No, it's not.
So that history's out.
Actually, that's a play.
What time was first pitch? 7:07?
Yeah, so it's 9:40, right?
Huh? can play.
There's activity in the Padres bullpen. 2-2 pitch. Full count. Tim Hill loosening up out there.
So you go for the strikeout or just throw a fastball for a strike? Listen, you got somebody in the bullpen up right now. It tells me you're not thinking that you're letting your starter go for a no-hitter. This potentially could be your last hitter.
3-2.
Slider.
And he gets low.
Some of the best players, those who have their numbers retired, and best moments, including the 2010 American League Championship season. And so these shadow boxes, the wood is the same wood that's in the clubhouse. And they're about 4.5 feet tall. And guys, I'm going to let you guess. What do you think these are made out of?
So we had this conversation last year, and I brought it up, and I want to say corrected / reprimanded by John Blake about the material, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't either.
I probably should have wrote it down.
It's not like plaster. Is it some sort of styrofoam?
It's like plastic.
Yes, 3-pound foam and then hand painted.
Wow.
Now,
pretty impressive.
Did you look? Have you found? Is my jersey there anywhere? Did you look around the corner?
I'm still looking.
It might be on the other side. Sometimes say,
yeah.
or maybe just dead center in center field, where it can be really prominent.
I heard that it might be in one of the men's restrooms. No?
Yeah,
It could
right above the urinals.
Right on the floor. What an actual jersey. Game worn.
Yeah. Well, Josh Spores is in, and he jumps ahead of Manny Machado 0-2. It's another guy that the skipper has been happy with so far. Spores out of the bullpen. Strike pitch. And that might be 7 on the gun, but a little bit up and away.
And we've seen a lot of that so far from Spores this year with that fastball in the upper 90s. And it's been a good one going back to the beginning of last year. He hasn't pitched a ton in the big leagues as you look at his numbers this year, but just a 154 batting average against his fastball.
Strike 3 call. Takes care of Machado, 1 away in the 8th. Connect briefly with Circuit of the Americas.
Gear up for the inaugural Echo Park Automotive Texas Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas Sunday, May 23rd. Reserve your spot for as low as $70 at NASCAR@COTA.com.
Josh Spores. Great start to his outing. Now deals with Eric Hosmer. A 3-0 score. Got away from him a little bit. Hosmer 0-for-2 with a walk and a run scored. Mentioned that the Padres last year, in the first year with Jace Tingler as their manager, went to the postseason. They hadn't been since 2006. They posted the best win percentage in their franchise's history, a .617 win percentage, which had them on pace for, in a regular season, 100 wins. Of course, they have the challenge of trying to knock out the Dodgers, who have won their division now 8 straight years in the National League West. But Tingler, a terrific start to his run in San Diego, and now in season 2, they've added some great talent, and they're hopeful for a big year, off to a 4-3 start so far here in 2021.
Well, I think they sensed that opportunity last year. A.J. Preller, obviously, they see their club go to the postseason, but they know the Dodgers are the juggernaut of the division and really of the National League. And they were going to have to get bold, and this was the right time to do it, to take their shot.
2 balls, 2 strikes now on Hosmer.
It's not going to be easy. I mean, what they did from a pitching standpoint to get Darvish and Blake Snell, like Clevenger last year, who unfortunately is going to have Tommy John, is going to miss this entire year. They'll have him back next year to go along with some of their already good pitching that they have in Nelson Lamet, currently on the IL.
Ground ball right side. Solak charging underhands in time. And they get Hosmer, and been a good defensive challenge tonight for Solak out there at second base. He's had to make a number of tough plays. 1 out. Or rather 2 out. And by the way, bobbleheads, They're back tomorrow. The first 7,000 fans get the Adrian Beltre Texas bobblehead powered by TXU Energy. Featuring the coat, the Lone Star coat, all of that big cowboy hat. Find your ticket at TexasRangers.com. 10 gallons, that hat?
No, I think so.
I don't know. High pop-up on the first pitch. Short right field. And Solak takes control. Will Myers retired on one pitch. And John Spores free in Austin, Sunday, May 23rd. Tickets at NASCAR@COTA.com. Bottom of the 8th inning. Joe Musgrove trying to do something no Padre has ever done. So he comes out in the 8th with a no-hitter. Nick Solak will be the first batter he deals with in the 8th. Only active franchise without a no-hitter. 23 times they've gotten this far. It's tough to do. And it's the longest drought for a franchise ever. Mets went seemingly forever without a no-hitter. But the Padres are the only ones without. A swing and a miss. It's 2-1 on Solak. You got to imagine a lot of Padres faithful over the years paying pretty close attention at this point in the ball game back in California. Would it be interesting if it would be a homegrown kid? We talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast.
It'd be a great story, no doubt. I mean, I don't want to see the Rangers get no hit, but it certainly would be a really good story. He talked about how excited he was to get traded to the Padres. You went through the history of growing up a Padre fan, Jake Peavy being his favorite player, why he's wearing number 44. He talked about the changes in his game and how much more of a strikeout pitcher he has become this last year and a half.
Solak stays alive, 2-2.
I will say this game is still close. The idea of laying down a bunt, not out of play for me. Trying to get something going. You don't just lay down. You still play the game to the very end.
Last time the Rangers were no-hit was 2007. It was early in the season, mid-April. Mark Burley and the White Sox did it at U.S. Cellular. 2-2. Shillelagh foul. We had Tim Hill warming in the bullpen last inning. And they do have bodies up at the moment. Melanson and Pagan both getting hot down there, just in case. Well, a good contact man at the plate right now in Solak. He's 0 for 2. Here he comes. This one on the ground, shortstop. Kim right there. 1-0.
It's not only that Joe Musgrove has this no-hitter going, but he is one yanked slider that hit Joey Gallo in the knee away from having a perfect game going right now. He's the only Ranger to reach base. That was back in the 4th inning with 2 outs. Joey was hit with that slider.
And then the next batter, Nate Lowe, hit a rocket to right field at about 109 miles per hour, but Will Myers was positioned well, and that was it. Inning was over. So Guzman in now. He's 0 for 2. He hits this one on the ground, down to Profar. And on 2 knees, grabs it, gives it to Musgrove. 2 down in the 8th.
So you're looking at pitch count right now, 98 for Joe Musgrove up to this point. As we'll take a look at this replay. 2-hopper there from George Profar off the bat of Ronald Guzman. Last night, it was yesterday, I lose track of my days off day yesterday, Lance Lynn threw a complete game for the Chicago White Sox. Complete game shutout. 111 pitches. That's the most we've seen any pitcher throw so far this season. Now, we know Lance is a little bit of a different beast.
Yeah, I understand after the game he went to the bullpen and threw 30 more.
Trevor Bauer's throwing 110 pitches. I'd say also another different kind of guy when it comes to pitch counts. But if Joe Musgrove is able to retire Jose Trevino, or at least keep the no-hitter going,
listen,
he's got to go back out.
You've mentioned it. You know, it is tough for Jace Tingler, but there is, to me, there is no decision to be made. If he gets through this 8th inning, he has to go out in the 9th. Trevino takes strike 2. Now, I say that I don't have the money invested in him. My season, isn't won or lost on the health of Joe Musgrove. It's a lot different when you're wearing that uniform or managing a roster. But boy, oh boy, a local kid with a no-hitter through 8 innings, if he gets Trevino, it'd be hard for a franchise that does not have one to pull him out.
I agree. I mean, listen, I agree all the way. I just try to think about, Jace Tingler, of course, we know him from his days with the Rangers, and he is such a players type of manager. The relationships and the care that he puts into the players, just like we see from Chris Woodward, is on the forefront of what makes him a good manager and what has made him successful and such a likable guy over the years and all his years in the game. He is thinking about Joe Musgrove first more than whether or not there's going to be no hitter.
Liner to right, and it's caught by Myers. And Joe Musgrove has a no-hitter through 8 innings for the San Diego Padres. 9th inning coming up. It's 3-0.
The last 2 champions squaring off in Los Angeles. Scoreless into the 6th when Justin Turner goes yard, his second on in the young season. Dodgers win 1-0.
You know what? If at first you don't succeed, try again. Great job, Sarah. Thank you very much. Joe Musgrove. I don't know what's going on in that mind right now. Probably trying to think about something else. 8 no-hit innings, 10 strikeouts. Yeah, deep breath for Joe Musgrove. He's got a moment to gather himself, and certainly looks as if the Padres and Jace Tingler will give him a shot in the 9th.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, it is the start to his Padres career. Obviously, this is a big moment. You can see him trying to control his breath a little bit, but he is now 14 innings into his Padres career. He's got 14 strikeouts and no walks.
Taylor Hearn.
18 strikeouts to no walks in his 2 starts.
Up and in to Jake Cronenworth. 6, 7, and 8 hitters in the lineup for the Padres. And they have been summarily shut down since that 3rd inning. They threatened a little bit in the 4th, but it's been quiet since. Rangers bullpen's done a nice job, and Hearn off the plate falls behind 3-0. It's funny, we talked last inning a little bit about the success of this Padres team currently and the expectations. Hearn gets one in there. And this is the anniversary of their home opener in 1974. They had played 5 years in San Diego, and the original owner was struggling, and he sold the team. There's a strike. To Ray Kroc, the McDonald's franchisor, I guess, franchisor. In 1974 was their first year. They went on the road, started the year in L.A. They lost all 3 games. They're outscored 25-2 in that series. And Ray Kroc was understandably a little disappointed in his investment, a $12 million investment, which, by the way, was $2 million more than Steinbrenner had played the year before for the Yankees. So in any case, they come home, the big home opener, and he's a little surly on the field. Presentation says something a little nasty. The game starts getting away. It's 9-2 late, like 8th inning. Another foul ball. Count stays full. So he goes to the PA booth in the 8th inning, grabs the PA mic, and a streaker runs out on the field, and now he's really fired up. And he
Yeah.
screams, "Somebody get that man! Throw him in jail!" over the PA, and then goes into a tirade about how bad the baseball has been. Strike 3 called. Cronenworth down looking, 1 away. He says to the fans now, they've got 39,000 people there on opening night. And the owner on the PA mic says, "Well, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is the Dodgers had 31,000 at their opener. We've got 39,000. The bad news is I've never seen such stupid baseball playing in my life." And then eventually I don't know who the heck got him off the PA. Disaster.
Wow.
Absolute PR disaster. And of course, disaster in his clubhouse. Swing and a miss.
Well, you don't think the players would like hearing that over the PA?
They took umbrage.
They didn't take it as a challenge.
No.
That is amazing. Well, luckily the Big Mac was a success.
High fly ball, short center, and Tavares is there, 2 away. Yeah, it turned into like a season-long thing there in San Diego. They had averaged 101 losses a year in their first 5 years. Anyway, here we are these many years later, and 8,203 games into their franchise's history, and they have never had a no-hitter.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm super curious as far as the investment standpoint for Ray Kroc. What did he get out?
Yeah.
How much did he sell the team for? Obviously worth over $1 billion now. Pretty much every team is.
Yeah, I bet he did well. Not as well as he could have,
No.
but he did just fine. Kim swings and misses.
Just think for that $12 million investment, there are players right now who could buy 3 San Diego Padres in 1 year.
1 year salary, yeah. It's insane. Earns 1-1, and Kim takes high. You see there at the bottom of the screen, 8, 9, and 1 coming up for the Rangers in the 9th inning. 2-1 pitch. And strike 2. That guy, Joe Musgrove, he's doing everything he can. He's harkening back to every lesson he's ever heard on how to relax, how to stay in the moment. Deep breathing, stretching. I mean, he's really working it in there.
He is just 5 pitches away from a career high. He's at 103 right now. He threw 108 last September.
There's definitely, there's been no sign of fatigue. Certainly the adrenaline at this point would overcome any of that anyway, one would think. Just enough offense early for him. 2 runs in the second, another in the third. High pop foul, that one out of play. So Ray Kroc's wife, Joan, when he asked her if he should go ahead just buy the Padres, because they had a deal in place and it fell through at the last second, he said, hey, they're back up for sale. What would you think about me buying it? She said, I think you're nuts. Anyway, she's the one who ended up selling the team years later for $75 million.
Oh, there you go.
So it went $12 million investment, $75 million.
You said she
yeah,
sold the
he
team?
passed away. Or maybe she got it, through some sort of transaction that had to do with their marriage or whatever. She gave away a lot of his money over the years. I don't think that one ended well. At least based on what I saw in the movie.
Yeah.
Founder, did you ever see that movie?
No, but I did see there was something on the History Channel. I think they're doing like how certain franchises that made America. And so there was a McDonald's one. I call a glimpse of it, where the guy who started Burger King just kind of walked into his office looking for advice on what to start a burger franchise in. And Ray Kroc seemed like he had a little bit of an edge to him. But also this Burger King guy had a set of his own to be able to walk into Ray Kroc's office and basically look him in the eye as if I'm going to try to take you down. It's pretty wild.
Hearn just misses and puts Kim on base. A 2-out walk. Hearn, the fourth reliever tonight behind Kohei Arihara. Arihara went 4 innings, allowed the 3 runs on 5 hits, and he used 73 pitches. Well, Kyle Cody, John King, Josh Boers, all shutout relief. Now Taylor.
The bullpen's been good lately. That is certainly some encouraging news as we went through and talked about the lack of arms, or at least the arms that have been injured so far. But these last few games, the bullpen has been pretty sharp. And not only, here's the thing about Joe Musgrove, too. I mean, it's not only that he's throwing the ball really well tonight. In his last 39 innings, right? Because we talk about the streak that he's been on. Excuse me, his last 27 innings. He's allowed 9 hits. And he's got 39 strikeouts to 2 walks. Basically over his last 4 starts. 2 this year, 2 last year.
You know, and then so you've got my trust, right? On Chase Tingler.
Yeah.
You've earned my trust.
I think he's fine. 115. You can always back off a little bit his next start if you really needed to.
Ooh, got a pick off at first. Back to Guzman. And the tag placed on Kim. The inning is over. Great pick move by Hearn.
Let's go ahead and take a look at the strikeouts here for Joe Musgrove. And this is StatCast 3D brought to you by Google Cloud. And the mixture of pitches that he has used so far. Slider, changeup, curveball, fastball. 5 of his strikeouts, 4 of them have come via the slider. Just 1 on the fastball, 4 more on the curveball, and 1 on the changeup. And it's been great movement all the way around, great location. The slider, though, probably has easily been the best pitch tonight for Joe Musgrove. A lot of looking strikes that he has gotten against these Rangers hitters.
Mentioned that the Mets had been the only other franchise without a no-hitter. Johan Santana notably put that long streak to rest in 2012.
He threw, 134 pitches, I believe, in that no-hitter?
Absurd, that one, yeah.
And was not quite the same after.
David Dahl will pinch hit for Eli White in the 9th. It's a backdoor slider, ball 1. 10 strikeouts tonight, 1 shy of Musgrove's career high 11.
For David Dahl as a pinch hitter, 269 hitter with a 849 OPS.
He's a good guy to have in this spot. And he hits this ball hard, but right to second base. And Cronenworth helps retire the first batter of the inning.
A good defensive positioning here by the Padres. Breaking ball, and still a pretty decent one, but David Dahl all over it, hits it hard. Kind of playing straight up, and right at Jake Cronenworth.
One out, and Leody Taveras 0 for 2. And with this at bat, Musgrove will have gone through the order 3 times. And there's strike 1 to Taveras.
A few more cheers at Globe Life Field as the opposing fan, seems like a handful of Ranger fans, may want to see it at this point.
And there's a decent amount of brown and yellow scattered around the seats tonight. Yeah, there you go. 27,000 here tonight. And maybe witnessing some Padres history. 8,203 Padres games without a no-hitter. 0-2 on Taveras.
So this was that situation I was talking about. Too late now with 2 strikes, but a pretty big shift put on by the Padres. If Taveras had wanted the bunt, there would have been an opportunity to do it. And the Padres actually don't shift that much. Last year, the least amount of shifts, defensive shifts in the game.
Tapper, first base side, and Musgrove will put the tag on Taveras. 2 down. You know, the Phillies' long franchise history, Philadelphia went almost 9,000 games between no-hitters. So they had the longest stretch without a no-hitter. 8,944 games. But it's been a long time for Padres fans, a franchise born in 1969. Banner for Leffa. 0 for 3. Struck out his last time in. Bouncer, shortstop. Kim is there. And the Padres, at long last, make history when they do it in Arlington. Joe Musgrove, the first no-hitter in San Diego Padres history. We never want to see your team no-hit, CJ, but from the standpoint of a little baseball history for the Padres, to have it be a local kid who grew up going to Padres games, his family had season tickets, he was thrilled to become a Padre, he wears Jake Peavy's number on his uniform. For him to be the guy to slay that dragon for San Diego, pretty neat story.
I don't think you could have drawn it up any better. As you mentioned, a kid who absolutely loved the Padres. No doubt probably dreamed about it in his backyard like so many kids do. In this last out, a ground ball off the bat of Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and not hit to Fernando Tatis Jr. because he's not in there tonight. It's Kim playing shortstop with Tatis Jr. out. And check out the reaction from Joe Musgrove. Like you said, Dave, you don't really want to see it against your own team, but you can't help feel good for Joe and getting to know his story a little bit. Good guy from San Diego. That is a dream come true.
They faced one over the minimum tonight. It was but for that pitch that got away from him, and he hit Joey Gallo. Otherwise, we may be talking about a perfect game. What are you going to do with that, Jerkson? Wow. A pretty special night for that young man. Congratulations to Joe Musgrove as we start the 3-game series in historic fashion. 3-0 Padres take the opener. For CJ Nitkowski and Emily Jones, I'm Dave Raymond. Thanks so much.